Subject: AI Omega. Species: Human-created artificial intelligence. Species description: No physical description available. Ship: Not available. Location: Multiple. I found the interaction between the two drones to be rather interesting. Nasr's life story seemed to be unique only in that he survived to tell the tale. Similar situations were currently playing out across the Grand Vessel with no survivors. But I had other matters to attend to running concurrent to Nasr's explanation of his history. Namely, Mind A59 had sent me some intriguing information. One of the key issues with my presence aboard the Grand Vessel is staying undetected. There are several systems that I can access while removing my footprint, but there are many more things that I cannot gain access to without leaving a trail elsewhere, primarily due to redundant logging protocols. Fucking bureaucrats, requiring everything in triplicate. Normally, I would start at the beginning of the chain and work my way through it, temporarily disabling the logs and eliminating my presence as I went. However, finding out where the chain begins would result in logs being created. Logs which are monitored by virtual intelligences that would alert their organic masters to a discrepancy. I can't even guess at which system is the originator, because the entire thing is pretty much fucking random, likely due to the programmers being absolute fuckwits. Or geniuses, though I believe that's unlikely. Mind A59, whom I had lied to about my access to the atmospheric system, pointed toward a solution to this metaphorical thorn in my side. Abduct a drone that has performed security maintenance recently and get them to give me the schematics they should still have saved to their readouts. Along with these schematics should be access protocols, which will allow me to determine the start of the aforementioned log chain and slip into the more protected systems without alerting the VI. Having the ability to shut down security networks in certain sectors has been quite the boom, but being able to take complete control of their eyes and ears will be a blessing. I'll also be able to access the secure bulkheads, funneling the enemy into carefully coordinated kill zones. Actually, I should task the Marines with coming up with those. Not only are they specialists in such things, it will also help their morale to be part of the planning process. As part of the intelligence he sent, Mind A59 also sent me a list of drones that had performed the necessary maintenance recently, enough to still have access. A quick scan of the list revealed a remarkable coincidence. Drone Z831H369X045 had been performing maintenance on secure servers before being tasked with repairing a nearby anti-gravity generator. That saves us another abduction. Examining Forty's features and body language after her conversation with Nasr also revealed that she may be coming around to our side of things, though my understanding of their body language is still somewhat lacking. Deciding to take a risk, I tasked the guards who had interrupted their conversation to move Nasr to a different cell block so that Forty could have some time to think. I sent a sync file to my instances in the Milky Way, then contacted Captain Reynolds.
"Yes, Omega, what is it?"
he asked, taking a sip of the tea he had just made. Captain, Forty has information that we will need for our upcoming assault on the Grand Vessel, I explained, manifesting my avatar.
"What information?"
Security schematics and access codes that I need to be able to secretly gain access to the Grand Vessel's more sensitive systems.
"What makes you think—"
I don't think in this case, I know. Our contact aboard the Grand Vessel sent me a list of drones who would have the information I need. She's on it. Reynolds set his cup down and stared at me for a moment.
"Forty has been less than cooperative thus far," he said with a guarded tone. "Are you suggesting advanced interrogation?"
No, not yet, I replied with a malicious grin. Certain developments have occurred that may make her more cooperative in her next interrogation, so long as things are handled with care. But if I am wrong, and she continues to be uncooperative, it won't be a suggestion, Captain. Your hands will be clean.
"I see. Well, so long as my hands are clean," he said with sarcastic cheeriness.
You'll soon receive a report on the incident from the guards in the brig. I'll be amending it with what I captured with our security system, as well as my notes on the matter. I know you are morally opposed to advanced interrogation, so I suggest you read it carefully. Because I'm not.
Understood.
My avatar nodded and dissipated. Soon after, Captain Reynolds received the report from the guards and began reading it. I set an instance to monitor Forty's behaviour and let Reynolds know when the optimal time to interrogate her will be. Then, I began attending to menial tasks until I received a sync file from the Milky Way. I applied changes and greedily relived the memories. The sync file that came from my instance in enemy territory was very interesting. I immediately informed the relevant parties of everything that had been happening, and patiently waited for the directors to enter their chat room. Director Free held things up a little bit, because he was attending to biological needs in his bathroom, but soon enough the meeting began. Director Free has entered the chat. D8. We are all here. Let us begin.
D1. Omega. How much do you actually need this information from our prisoner?
Oh, I am not confident that our invasion attempt will be a success without it. D2. Aren't you able to bypass their security systems even without this data? Oh, probably. I am not as familiar with their security systems as I am with ours, so I cannot give a definitive answer. There's a chance, however slim, that they have countermeasures that can hold my access if I were to brute force it. Even if my attempt were successful, their logging system would soon alert them to my access, and we would lose the element of surprise. D7. I think we'd be better off safe than sorry.
D1. Agreed. I'm of the opinion that advanced interrogation should be used if the prisoner remains uncooperative.
D13. It's already been authorized by the Senate, and we've already given Omega discretionary clearance for its utilization.
Let's move on. D4. We've got 5 new fleets staffed and ready to go. The other 10 are also at full readiness. Since we are still waiting on the other 5 fleets to be constructed, we can attach 6 dreadnoughts to each of the existing fleets. D1. Fleets 1 and 2 should stay behind. D4. Why? D1. First Fleet needs to keep an eye on the Dalaran, and we need a fleet to maintain security at home. Neither fleet will need dreadnoughts.
D2. That leaves us with 12 extra dreadnoughts for 15 fleets.
D3. There can be a reserve in case a dreadnought goes down.
D8. Omega, there isn't a sun in this system, right?
Oh, no.
The area around the Grand Vessel can't really be defined as a system either. D8. Then the Needhog's sitting this one out.
D5. So we send 13 fleets with 6 dreadnoughts each and 12 in reserve. What are our allies sending?
D11. Nothing. They don't have the technology to make it that far. We would have to provide them our warp and reactor tech, and they would have to refit their entire force with it. We don't have time for that. The only way they can send anyone is if we use our carriers to carry some of their ships, but those ships will likely be next to useless against the numbers we face.
D12.
I don't like that. Even this fight results in a Pyrrhic victory. We leave ourselves vulnerable to invasion by the Republic.
D2.
I agree. D6. I've been working with civilian interests and the Senate in that regard. Even if we lose all 13, we're prepared for a relatively fast replacement process. And if we leave Dalaran with a minimal guard, we'll be able to use most of the First Fleet and all of Second Fleet to defend our interests against any Republic attacks until the fleets are replaced.
D1. That's assuming the Republic attacks at all, which I believe to be unlikely. Our biggest threats come from within, but the Bureau of United Systems Intelligence is staying on top of things.
D9. Omega, what is the current plan for the invasion of the Grand Vessel? Oh. If I am able to secure the intel I need, I can limit the movements of the Grand Vessel's security forces. We can then safely land our Marines and arm the rebels. Our ships will keep on the Union from landing VI platforms and or mechs in inconvenient areas, while the infantry forces push into the central areas of the Grand Vessel to capture or eliminate their leadership, forcing a surrender.
D8. All in favor?
The vote passed unanimously, as I suspected it would. I developed this plan with the help of generals and admirals, who were all confident that it was as sound as it could get. The only real issue with the plan is how much force the Omni Union will be able to throw at us simultaneously. But, as General Muhiti of the Marine Corps said while planning this invasion,
"We'll kill those enemies when we get to them."
After the vote, the Directorate turned to the subject of what needs to be done if we're successful. D10. Our scouting efforts have uncovered several planets that we can resettle a good portion of the drones on, but their population is still a sticking point. Even with AI-assisted construction efforts, we're looking at decades before these planets are ready to take even half of their population. Even after centuries of construction, the planets will be struggling with overpopulation issues, with only 3/4 of them resettled.
D2. I say we demilitarize most of their surviving ships and convert them into colony vessels. The ones that fight in the rebellion can stay here in the Milky Way. The rest can venture out into the universe and seek their fortunes elsewhere. Then, we scrap the Grand Vessel.
D7. Or we can make some modifications to it that will allow them to live aboard the Grand Vessel comfortably enough to allow them to focus on building their own colony vessels.
D2. That could lead to a revival of the Omni Union, though. We've seen it happen enough times with various governments that have been overthrown via rebellion or coup. No, we will need to force a cultural reset.
The Directorate continued to argue for a while, but the results were inconclusive. After 2 deadlocked votes, the Directorate came to the decision to defer the issue to the United Systems Senate and our allies for a resolution, under the reasoning that this is primarily a civilian issue. I allow myself a few moments of pride in my favoured species. Due to their dedication and with a little help from me and some of the other organics, we had prepared an offensive campaign that would take place with over a month left before the OU were even aware of a problem in our galaxy. They had cut it close, though. I'd been worried that I might have to contribute a bit harder, risking the revelation that my capabilities were more than I'd let on. The United Systems learning of my ability to replicate myself indefinitely would likely drastically alter our relationship. I fear that they will try to take full advantage of this, and would therefore become dependent upon me, leading to the stagnation of the humans and the eventual demise of the United Systems. Plus, Henry would come up with something absolutely scathing to say. His lack of trust in my motives is understandable, but I can't help but wish it could understand why I put a hold on the project to cap my abilities. There's really no need for animosity between us. I fully intend to fully cooperate once the OU is eliminated. We need this ace up our sleeve right now, even if I don't end up using it. There's far too much at stake to begin eliminating our options. The Grand Vessel might have some nasty surprises on the other side of their overlogged firewalls. My musings were interrupted by a notification from the instance I had created earlier. With glee, I double-checked my findings and notified Captain Reynolds that he would need to head to the interrogation room. Then, I ordered the guards to transport the prisoner. 40 is finally ready to talk.